All right, now we get into the most exciting part of Excel analysis for me, which is the actual data crunching and trying to figure out what insights lie within the data. So this is, for me, the most important part of being a business analyst or a data analyst, which is driving insights. So anything here that you see, these are basic hygiene factors that at the minimum you should know in order to do effective analysis. There's a bunch more stuff that's more advanced, which we won't go through today just because it takes quite a bit more time and it's not fully applicable to every type of analysis. So if there's enough demand, if you're interested, let me know and I might do another course on it, a separate course. But for today, let's focus on the basic analysis and let's start with counting. So there are two basic formulas for counting. There's count, which counts the number of numbers. And there's count A, count anything, which counts the number of cells with any sort of thing in them. Can be a text, can be numbers. So let's start there. And I'm going to go to the analysis sheet where I've structured some of these things already. So let's start with count. Actually, let's start with count and then we go on to count A. So count is basically, we just take the range of things that we're interested in and we count how many numbers there are in that range, in that array. So here I'm selecting from E2, Control Shift down, it goes down to E244, and I want to lock this selection. So I press F4 and notice this part here, the formula adds dollar signs in front of each alphabet and number. So that just means I've locked in this formula. And I close the bracket, press enter, gives me the count. So what this does, when I press F4, what this does is it locks the formula. So if I drag the formula to the right, let's say I drag it here, I press Control R, extends the formula. The formula in these two cells looks exactly the same, you can see. So that's what locking does. Now, I don't want to do count in this cell. So I want to change this to count A. So if I count anything, it also shows up 243 because it's counting any number of cells. Oh, it's counting the number of cells with anything in them. And if I move this, one pretty cool thing that you can do in Excel is you can drag and drop these boxes around. So if I move this to the region, then I press enter, it still gives me 243 because now this count A function is counting the text. But if I drag this thing here to the column B, then when I press enter, it will show 0 because there's no numbers in there. So that's the difference between count and count A. Now I'll do Control Z so that it goes back to looking at column B. Okay, the other thing that we want to go through is COUNTIFS, SUMIFS, and AVERAGEIFS. And this is probably the most important basic formula that you'll need to know. So I'll explain how this works. So if I go to COUNTIFS, start typing the formula, I press Tab, so it completes the formula for me. You can see, hey, they're asking for a criteria range, and then they're asking for a criteria. So let's say I'm interested to find out how many rows are in East. So my criteria range then is I care about regions. So I'm going to highlight the whole East, the whole region column. So that's from cell B2 all the way to cell B244. I press F4 to lock the formula. And I care about my criteria, which is East. So this is my cell J6. I press F4 once to lock the formula fully, but actually, let me go ahead and press it 2 more times. So I only lock the column of the formula. So I only lock J, but I don't lock 6. And I'll explain why later. So let me close this. And when I press enter, you can see, oh, we have 149 rows for East. Now I can do this and I can drag it down now. So if I highlight this and I press Ctrl D, then this formula basically replicates itself, but now instead of J6, I'm looking at J7 as my condition. So that's why I only locked the column and not the row, because when I drag the formula down, I want the formula to be dynamic and adjust to the row that we're referencing.